Year 3 and welcome to your guided reading video for today. Now we're going to read a little bit more of Operation Gadget Man and then I'm going to explain what we're going to do. So we got up to the part where they'd found the ash in the bin, hadn't they? And they wasn't sure whether it was from a cigar, a pipe or a cigarette. Good point. Bean stuck her head into the bin again. I'd say it's a cigarette ash, but they all smell disgusting to me. Let me have a whiff. Anne bodged Beans out of the way. My granddad smokes a pipe, so I know that smell. Anne took a deep breath, her nose over the bin. It's not a pipe, it's a cigarette. I suppose it'd be too much to hope that cigarette tip is in there, Louisa said. Anne shifted through the quarter-full bin. No, just ash, she said at last. I'll put some in an evidence bag anyway, Beans said. Once they were sure that there was nothing else in the workroom, Beans led the way back to the house. You can go and check upstairs. Watch where you're both stepping and don't touch anything, Beans warned. Louisa and Anne went to explore the upstairs. Whilst Beans phoned her Gran, it only took a few seconds' deliberation for Beans to decide that she'd wait for Gran to arrive before telling her what had happened to Dad. She couldn't exactly say, "How are you, Gran? By the way, Dad's been kidnapped," over the phone. No, she'd wait until Gran came round, and then they were alone. Gran, it's Beans, she said, the moment her Gran picked up the phone and said hello. Well, hello, Beatrice, how are you? Gran asked her. Her voice was warm and normal, and it made Beans sad. That's what I'm phoning you about. Dad isn't here. Can you come over and stay with me until he gets back? He left a note to say I should ask you. Beans chewed on her bottom lip. That was about right. Where is he? Gran asked. I don't know, Beans replied. That was truthful. When will he come back? Beans could hear the frown in Gran's voice. I don't know that either. I'll explain when you get here, Beans said. I'll be there as soon as possible. In about an hour, Gran said. Thanks, Gran. See you later, Beans replied. Just what is your father playing at? She heard her Gran mutter. Beans waited for a few seconds before she put down the phone at her end. She was sure she'd done the right thing. It wasn't the sort of conversation to have over the phone. With a sigh, Beans went to join Louisa and Anne. 40 minutes later, the upstairs was done, and not one more clue. Downstairs now, Beans said. We'll have to make this fast. Gran will be here soon. It was certainly very tiring work. Beans felt as if she had to examine practically every square centimetre of carpet just so she wouldn't miss anything important. And in the spite of careful and detailed scrutiny, there was nothing out of the ordinary in any of the downstairs rooms either. Look, Beans, I've got to go home now, Louisa said, glancing down at her watch. Oh no, is it that time? My mum's going to kill me, Anne joined in. Beans, I'm going to have to shift. That's okay. Thanks for all your help. It would have taken me forever to try and do all this by myself, Beans said gratefully. Will I see you both on Monday morning? What are you talking about? Louisa frowned. We're going to be round here first thing tomorrow morning. At least I am. I'll be here too. Don't worry, Anne said indignantly. Beans looked at her friends. She tried to smile. Thanks. She didn't know what else to say. And don't worry, we won't say a word to anyone, Louisa said. Will we, Anne? Dead right, not a word, Anne agreed. Just then, the doorbell rang. That'll be my Gran, Beans said. She opened the front door, Louisa and Anne behind her. Hello, Beatrice. Hello, girls. Gran stepped over the threshold, closing the door firmly behind her. My goodness, but it's getting chilly out there. Hello, Mrs. Conran, Anne said. We were just leaving. Oh, don't let me chase you out, Gran raised her eyebrows. You're not honest. We were really just going, Louisa said. We'll see you tomorrow, Beans, she added with a whisper. Good luck with the fingerprints. Beans opened the front door for her friends and watched them as they walked down the hill to the bus stop. What fingerprints was Louisa talking about? Gran asked. You heard that? Beans stared. Of course. You young people, You'd think that once a person passes 40 that they're ready to be tucked up in their grave. Gran grinned. So, what's this all about fingerprints? Gran, I've got something to tell you, Beans said unhappily. I think you'd better sit down. This was it. It was the worst thing Beans had ever had to do. At first, Gran wouldn't believe it. A joke in a very poor taste, she called it. It was only when Beans convinced her Gran to phone Detective Warner that Gran's expression changed from being seriously annoyed with Beans to being seriously worried. Beans listened as Gran spoke to the detective incredulity. Missed, I'm struggling with this word. Incredulity, and fear growing in her voice. When at last Gran got off the phone, no one spoke. Why didn't you call me at once, Beatrice? Gran said at last. You should have told me. Why didn't you tell me over the phone? I couldn't, I thought. I couldn't. I thought it would be better if you were here, if we were together, Beans sniffed. Gran beckoned Beans towards her. Come here. And in the middle of the sitting room, they silently hugged. I think I'll make you a nice cheese omelette, Gran said firmly after a few moments. You must eat to keep up your strength. Gran, Beans exclaimed, how can you think about cooking at a time like this? Nonsense! You're a growing girl. You must give your body something to grow with, Gran said, already heading for the kitchen. But, Gran, I couldn't force a thing down, Beans called after her. Nonsense, Beatrice. You'll eat, Gran called back. Beans didn't know whether it was a threat or a warning or a promise. She didn't know, however, that it was useless to argue with Gran once she'd made up her mind on something. Beans silently followed Gran into the kitchen, resentment on her face. What was wrong with Gran? Why didn't she care? And we're going to leave it there for today, Year 3. So what you're going to do today, I'd like you to think about the relationship between Beans and her Gran and discuss it. Is it a normal type of relationship that you'd think that someone would have with their grandma? You could compare it to yours if you've got a grandma. What do grandmas normally do? Is grandma being supportive? Is she just pushing it aside? What do you think? So you can write a good detailed description on what is happening. Okay, superstars, good luck and I'll see you soon. Bye.